morning, children. We will continue with the story The Twelfth Night. To Olivia again. When Viola made her second visit to Olivia, she had no difficulty in entering and meeting her. The servants soon discovered that these two ladies were delighted to talk with handsome young messengers. And the moment Viola arrived, the gates were thrown wide open, and the Duke's, that is Orsino's servant, Viola, was shown into Olivia's presence. She was brought to Olivia with great respect. And when Viola told Olivia that she had once more come to speak in her Lord Orsino's behalf, this lady Olivia said, "I told you never to speak about him again, and if you would undertake another request, I will hardly ever hear you speak than music from heaven." This was pretty plain speaking, but Olivia soon explained herself in a more simple way and openly told her love. But in vain. That means Olivia told Viola that she loved her, rather him, because Viola was dressed up in a man's dress. Viola ran quickly from her presence, saying that she would never come again, with the request of Orsino's love. And all the reply which she made Olivia was that she would never love any woman. Now, as soon as Viola left the lady, then a claim was made upon her courage. A gentleman whom Olivia had refused to meet, and now when the gentleman saw how that lady, that is Olivia, had favored the Duke's messenger Viola and met her, this gentleman started a fight with Viola. What should poor Viola do, who, though she carried a man-like appearance, she had a woman's heart, and she was afraid to look on her own sword? When Viola saw the man advancing towards her with his sword drawn, she thought of confessing that she was a woman. But she was saved fast from her fear and the shame of such a discovery by a stranger who was passing by, who came up to them, and as if he had been long known to Viola, and he behaved as Viola's dearest friend, and told her enemy, "If this young gentleman has done any wrong to you, let the fault be laid on me, and if you offend him, I will fight with you for her sake." Now, before Viola got time to thank him, the officers of justice, they came up, captured the stranger in the name of the Duke to answer for a wrong he had done a few years ago. And the officers of justice, they told Viola, "This comes from seeing you." Then he asked her for a purse, saying, "Now my necessity makes me ask for her purse, and I feel sorry much more for what I cannot do for you." that for what happened to myself. You are surprised, but be comforted. Viola was indeed surprised by what he was saying, and she told him that she does not know him, nor had he ever given a purse to her. But for the kindness which he had just shown her, she offered him a small amount of money. A small amount was all the money which she had. And now the stranger spoke roughly to her, said that she was unkind as well as unthankful. He said, "This youth whom you are seeing here, I saved you from the jaws of death, and for his sake alone I came to Illyria and have fallen into this danger." But the officers cared little for what the complaint of the prisoner was, and they took him off, saying, "What is that to us?" And as he was being carried away, he called Viola Sebastian and ungrateful as long as he was within hearing. Now, when Viola heard that that person was calling him Sebastian, she thought that she might have been mistaken for her brother Sebastian, and a hope arose within her that her brother might be the man whose life this man had saved. And this was indeed what had happened. This stranger, whose name was Antonio, was actually a sea captain, and he had taken Sebastian into his ship when he was almost dead with tiredness, and he was floating, catching the pole to which he had tied himself in the storm. Now Antonio and Sebastian had landed together, but a few hours before Antonio met Viola. He had given his purse to Sebastian, telling him that he could use the purse freely and he could buy anything which he wished to buy. And he had also told Sebastian that he would wait for him at the inn. Inn is a small rest house, while Sebastian moved to see the town. But when Sebastian did not come back at the appointed time, Antonio had started his search for Sebastian. And Viola was dressed the same, and she looked just like her brother. So Antonio took out his sword, thinking in defense of the youth he had saved. And when Sebastian, who actually was Viola, said that she did not recognize him and she did not have a purse, no wonder Antonio the sea captain called her to be ungrateful. Now, when Antonio was gone, Viola, fearing a second invitation to fight, started for home as fast as she could. She had not been long gone when her enemy thought he saw her return, but this time Sebastian was returning, and he said, "Now, sir, have I met with you again?" And he gave him a nice blow. Sebastian was also no coward. He returned the blow, and he also took out his sword. A lady now put to stop to this fight, for Olivia came out of the house, and she mistook Sebastian for Cesario, whose name Viola was working under, asked him to come into her house, saying she was very sorry that he had been attacked so rudely. Now Sebastian was surprised at the kindness of this lady, and he was surprised at the rudeness of his enemy. Yet he went inside the house willingly, and Olivia was delighted to find Cesario. She is thinking this man to be Cesario, who used to come who used to come to her bringing King Orsino's requests, and she became more friendly with Caesario. Now, Sebastian did not at all object to the kindness which Olivia was showing him. He seemed to take it in very good part, and yet at the same time he was wondering what was happening, and he rather thought Olivia was not in her true senses. But he saw that she was the mistress of a fine house, and that she ordered her affairs and seemed to govern the house very wisely, and that in all but her sudden love for him, she appeared in the full possession of her reason. He allowed her to court him. Now Olivia, finding Caesario in a good mood and fearing he might change his mind, she proposed, as she had a priest in the house, that they should be married at once. Sebastian agreed, and when the marriage ceremony was over, he left his lady for a short time, intending to go and tell his friend Antonio, the captain of the ship, the good fortune with which he had met. In the meantime, Orsino the Duke comes to visit Olivia, and at that moment he arrived before Olivia's house. The officer of justice brought their prisoner Antonio before the Duke. Viola was also with Orsino, her master, and when Antonio saw Viola, he still supposed her to be Sebastian, and he told the Duke that he had saved this youth from the dangers of the sea. But now the lady Olivia came out from her house, and the Duke could no longer listen to Antonio's story, and he said, "Here comes the Countess. It seems heaven is walking on earth. But as for thee, fellow, thy words are madness." And then he ordered to take Antonio aside. But Orsino's heavenly lady soon gave the Duke cause to accuse Caesario as much of ingratitude as Antonio had done. For all the words he could hear Olivia speak were only words of kindness towards Caesario. And when he found that his servant had obtained a high place in Olivia's favor, he promised to give him every punishment. And the time when Orsino was going to leave the place, he called Viola to follow him. Though it seemed in his great anger he was going to give Viola immediate death, yet her love made Viola strong and brave, and she said she would most joyfully suffer death to give her master comfort. But Olivia did not want to lose her husband, and she said, "Where are you going, Caesario?" Viola said, "After him whom I love more than my life." Olivia cried out loudly that Caesario was her husband, and even sent for the priest, who had declared that just before 2 hours he had married Olivia to this young man. And in vain Viola said that she was not married to Olivia. The statement of Olivia and the priest made Orsino believe that his servant had robbed him for the treasure which he prized above his life. But then a miracle appeared. Another Caesario entered. "This is Sebastian," and he said, "Olivia, you are my wife." He was the real husband of Olivia. And when their surprise had a little stopped, at seeing two persons having the same face, the same voice, the same dress. The brother and sister began to question each other. Viola could scarce be persuaded that her brother was living, and Sebastian did not know why the sister whom he supposed to be drowned was now dressed up like a young man. Viola immediately said that she was indeed Viola, her sister. When all the mistakes were cleared up, they laughed at the Lady Olivia for the pleasant mistake she had made in falling in love with a woman, and Olivia showed no dislike to her exchange when she found she had wedded the brother instead of the sister. The hopes of Orsino forever met with an end by the marriage of Olivia, and when his hopes, all his fruitless love, seemed to vanish away, his thoughts were fixed only on young Cesario. He looked at Viola with great attention, and he remembered how very beautiful he had always thought Cesario was, and he concluded that she would look all the more lovely in ladies' garments. And then he remembered how often she had said she loved him, which at that time seemed only the words of a faithful servant. But now he guessed what it really meant. For now it came into his mind, and he decided to make Viola his wife. And he said to her, "Boy, you have said to me 1,000 times that you should never love a woman like to me, and for the faithful service you have done for me, you shall now be my mistress and Orsino's true duchess." Olivia, on seeing that Orsino was making over the love which she had refused to Viola, invited both of them to enter the house and offered the help of the good priest who had married herself to Sebastian in the morning, and now she told the priest to marry Orsino and Viola in the remaining part of the day. Thus the twin brother and sister were both wedded on the same day. The story and the ship destruction which had separated them being the means of bringing to pass their high and mighty fortunes. Viola became the wife of Orsino, the Duke of Illyria, and Sebastian, the husband of the rich and noble Countess Lady Olivia. We come to the end of the story, children. Hope you have enjoyed listening to the story. Wait for more video uploads. Thank you.